Boston Celtics coach Joe Mazzulla speaks out of how impactful Sam Hauser has been on the defensive side of the ball and how he has been an X factor for this bench unit. We'll be diving in, looking at how great Sam Hauser has been for this Celtics team and how great of a defender he has been for this bench unit. We'll also be diving in at Payton Pritchard, talking about his garbage time minutes in which he has had some explosive points scoring in those last 2 games. All of that and more on this episode of Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz. But before we dive into this Boston Celtics coverage, I would like to say that roughly right around 80% of our viewers are not subscribed, and would greatly appreciate it if you guys hit that big old red subscribe button and join the Celtics Digest family. We're getting closer and closer to our goal of 3,000 subscribers, so if you guys want to make sure you stay up to date on daily Boston Celtics content, make sure to hit that subscribe button, as you definitely won't regret it. But let's dive into the news at hand today. So make sure to grab a snack, as today's episode is going to be a jam-packed one as we dive into this Boston Celtics content. First, we'll be diving in talking about Payton Pritchard speaking up. And Payton Pritchard was very vocal about this garbage time playing, as he feels it is not deemed garbage time. Payton Pritchard in his last 2 outings has had phenomenal performances for the Boston Celtics on the scoring point. And the last game versus the Houston Rockets, he put up 19 points in a blowout win where the Celtics dominated the Houston Rockets at home. And in the game prior to that, the Celtics got obliterated by the Milwaukee Bucks coming off a back-to-back. And Payton Pritchard leaded the team in scoring with 21 points. But if we look at this article here from Clutch Points and Jackson Stone, Celtics guard Payton Pritchard drops fiery truth bomb on NBA garbage time. The Celtics point guard is tired of the fourth quarter of blowouts being referred to as garbage time, and he had this to say. "I don't ever look at it as garbage time," said Payton Pritchard to Noah Dalzell of X or Twitter. "It's just an opportunity for me to hoop. Everybody's an NBA guy, and at the end of the day, this is top-level basketball here." And I totally agree with Payton Pritchard. I think that it is kind of viewed as garbage time because it is in the blowout wins. It's not viewed as, the best type of basketball. But Payton Pritchard is still playing impactful basketball in an impactful league in the NBA, and he's still getting some valuable minutes here. And even though it's against, not the best defenders or not the best starters, Payton Pritchard isn't going up against the best guys all the time. Yeah, he's playing against good lineups. Yeah, he's mixed in with the starting lineup here and there. But Payton Pritchard is, 6th, 7th, 8th guy off the bench. He's not, the main guy coming off the bench, gelling in with the starters. He's not the first guy to be in that mix. So Payton Pritchard playing with some of these other guys is great, for him to keep developing, as in recent last 2 games, he's been really, really solid for the Boston Celtics. But this season, he's had some struggles with his shooting ball, and he hasn't been as consistent as many Celtics fans would like to see. In the preseason, he was very, very consistent, and I was very high on Payton Pritchard coming into this year. But this season, he's just hasn't been the greatest. Could we see him get this consistency down and learn it through the middle of the season and be solid by the end of the year? That's what all Boston Celtics fans are hoping to see. But if he can't get that shot down, then when he gets his opportunities to go off, all Celtics fans will be ecstatic. But let me know what you guys think about Payton Pritchard and his comments in the description, in the comment section down below. But let's dive into the important news, which is Sam Hauser being an underrated defender and Joe Mazzulla speaking out about the Celtics X Factor wing. Now, at the beginning of the year, if you had told me that I would be speaking this highly about Sam Hauser at this point of the season, I would think that I would be crazy. Because at the beginning of the year, towards the preseason, I was very low on Sam Hauser, very high on Payton Pritchard, and it kind of has flipped since the season has gone throughout. Sam Hauser has been a perfect wing for the Boston Celtics, being the perfect 3-and-D guy that the Celtics have built up from the main clause. They're able to develop him and bring him up to this roster. Last year, he was seen as an all-right stretch shooter, but this year, he's been an impactful piece and been a very, very impactful defender for the Boston Celtics, especially at defending at the rim. And Joe Mazzulla seems to agree with me. So let's dive in and look at these quotes from Joe Mazzulla and talking about how impactful Sam Hauser has been. Now, Joe Mazzulla said this at the around November mark when Sam Hauser was starting to get better throughout the season. He said, "I think he's a much better defender than people think," Joe Mazzulla said after a November 13th Celtics win over the New York Knicks. "I can't say why or else I'll get in trouble." And everyone knows why he would say this. Because Sam Hauser is a white a white small forward, he's viewed as a shooter. He's viewed as a guy that can be a scoring option, not a guy that's going to be viewed as a tenacious defender or a gritty grind guy. But Sam Hauser is recognized that around the league, and Joe Mazzulla had to follow it up by saying a white shooter. Most people probably don't think he plays defense. Yeah, I said it. Oh, yes, you did, Joe Mazzulla. Yes, you did. And I'm going to say it as well. Not a lot of people expected Sam Hauser to be this guy, and there's plenty of people in the comments that still don't believe that Sam Hauser is that guy. They believe that we need to trade Sam Hauser. They believe that he's not that great on defense. But Sam Hauser has been perfect for the Boston Celtics this season, coming off the bench, playing behind Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Yes, I'm not going to lie. When he's floated in the starting lineup, when one of those guys is out, he doesn't have a big performance, and that is a big problem. But when he's viewed as a guy coming off the bench and can have his little streak, he is great. He had a perfect November for the Boston Celtics. Little streaky of a December, but in January he's decided to bounce himself back. And he's been very, very solid on the defensive side of the ball, which I feel like a lot of people haven't noticed. Sam Hauser has been known to be a great three-point shooter going in college at Marquette. When he was in the Celtics last year, that's what he was known for, just being a shooter off the bench. But now his defensive prowess is actually getting noticed. We're going to be diving into this article, talking about how Joe Mazzulla sees the same thing. On Saturday night versus the Houston Rockets, he saw that Sam Hauser was an impactful defender, saying, "I'm seeing the same thing I saw last year." The second-year Celtics coach said of Hauser's defense. "Seeing the same thing I saw when I first coached him in the summer league. A white shooter who most people think he can't play defense." Yeah, I said it. Stop by stop, Hauser is proving the rest of the league wrong. And it says, "It was more about everything having to shake the stereotype that he couldn't guard, which I already knew," said Mazzulla. Hauser is holding opponents to 44.8% shooting from the field and 35.3% shooting from deep this season. He ranks first among the Celtics regulars in opponents' three-point percentage, and just two guys beat him in field goal percentage, Jrue Holiday and Al Horford, two former all-defensive players. Despite his clear success in one-on-one situations, teams continue to attack him, and they continue to fail. And I believe that as well. I understand why that happens. Sam Hauser is a great piece for this Celtics team. And he's a great rim defender as well. When teams attack him at the rim, he plays greatly to the basket and will rise up and go for nice blocks to help out with the guys in the post as well. Guys like Holiday that sometimes play in the post, Horford, Porzingis, whoever else is down low with Hauser there, he is helping out. And Sam Hauser can, help out on the three-point line as well, jumping out and being a great defender there. We want to keep looking. We can also see that he also said for the better part of last season, Hauser Island jokes ran rampant as teams looked to attack the Celtics forward in isolation as he stood his ground. Yeah, I never bought into that, Mazzulla said when asked about Hauser Island. And he said, "I've always said he could guard," Mazzulla said. "I always knew he could be a good defender and that most people attack him the more reps we get for the playoffs. So I hope that they still continue to do it." And he also said he's been able to play defense since I coached him in the summer league. He does a really good job of taking tendencies. He does a really good job of understanding who he's guarding. And he does a really good job of not giving up angles. And he's been that way since day one. The three-point shooting will always be the first story when it comes to Hauser. But the Celtics know he can guard. And the team continued to punch his own ticket to Hauser Island. He'll welcome them with his own arms, literally. So that's great to hear about Sam Hauser. Obviously, last season, I know there were plenty of times where people liked to attack Sam Hauser one-on-one on defense, and he was able to stop them. And there are many times where people disrespected Sam Hauser's three. I know for one example with the Philadelphia 76ers where they left him wide open in the corner, and he absolutely torched them in a regular season game last year. Sam Hauser was disrespected and now is actually getting his recognition through the Celtics organization and through the Celtics fans, realizing he's not just some white shooter that can just make some shots for the Celtics and he can have some inconsistent days. He's actually a great defender. It could be a great 3-and-D wing to build up through the system. And if the Celtics can keep him and extend him for the future, I think this will be a great decision for the franchise. Having Brown and Tatum already as your max guys, you're going to need another wing that can kind of play in and take over when those guys are injured or when those guys are in foul trouble. And Sam Hauser kind of complements both of them as he's a great defender like both of those guys are, but he can also stretch and shoot the ball like those guys can also do. I want to know your guys' thoughts and opinions, though, in the comment section down below about Sam Hauser. Let me know your guys' thoughts on his defense and his shooting. I personally, like I've said throughout this whole video, am very, very ecstatic on Sam Hauser. He has been one of the guys that has changed my mind this season and is one of the guys that I think will be an impactful piece for this team in the playoffs this season, with the Celtics being their seventh man. But let me know what you guys think of Sam Hauser, his offense, his defense, and let me know what you guys think of the Celtics as they take on the Toronto Raptors tonight. on MLK Day, Monday night in Toronto. No Jaylen Brown for the Boston Celtics tonight. That is unfortunate. The Celtics will be taking on the new look Raptors with Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett for the first time, so we'll have to see how they handle things. Should be an exciting game, and I can't wait to break that down for you guys as well. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.